Catalyst for change with the chance to thrive. Crystal is the one to stir up gifts and save lives. You get exposure, promotion, and marketing too. And advertise for business owners just like you. On Storytime, your interview is global. Virtual or in person, just come on the show. Yo, your story matters. Crystals will open the door. 40 years of experience, ready to give you more on Storytime. Get ready for Storytime. Hey, come on.
Well, good evening. Welcome to Storytime. I am so excited to have you here today. This is Crystal, and it is April 16th, 8 p.m. Eastern, and I want to say I am so happy to have you here today. I have a very, very interesting show for you today. You know, a lot of times I do interviews with individuals, and every now and then I bring you some companies and organizations in the area. Well, today I have an organization known as Family Promise of the Triangle that's been around since about 1994. And they started out as Wake Interfaith Hospitality Network. It's a 501c3 in the area, and they are providing emergency shelter and meals to Wake County people that are experiencing temporary homelessness. And we have some great people here that are going to share what it is that they do when it comes to helping individuals through these crises. Okay, so we have some board members, we have a couple of people on staff, and we have the director of communications. So let's get ready to really receive them. And while you're here, I just want to give you a couple of housekeeping rules. You know, we always start with the housekeeping rules so you understand. You are watching Storytime, right? And in case you've never seen it before, Storytime is a place where human beings connect through life experiences. So I'm going to ask you to like, share, and comment, and join us on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. and Sundays. And if you have a story that you'd like to share, please DM me at Shout Crystal if you'd like to be a guest, okay? Now, I would like to tell you this. We want you to make sure that right now you tell a couple people that we're here, because this is going to be very good information. If you know somebody that might be falling on hard times or just going through some things, this may be good for them. So we want you to take a few minutes, just a few minutes, and we want you to share this live with about 5 friends, okay? Share this live with about 5 friends, please, and let them know that you are here, all right? Because it's going to be very important. I think they're going to thank you later if you do that. So we'd like for you to take the time to do that. So before we go any further, what I want to do is I want to share with you a video that I have that I think is going to help you to really understand what this is all about. It's going to give you a clearer picture. And I think that once I do this, you'll be able to follow me a lot easier. And then I'm going to bring in Jeff to really bring it on home. Okay, so take a look at this and fasten your seatbelts. Whole thing. Here we go.
Which would you choose? When a family is experiencing homelessness, they're often left with a choice. On one hand, they can seek emergency shelter, but these shelters usually cater to specific ages and genders, so a family has to separate into 3 or 4 shelters across the county: men's shelters, women's shelters, youth shelters. So on the other hand, the family can choose to sleep in their car. It won't be comfortable, but at least they'll be together. So, which would you choose? Seek emergency shelter or sleep in your car?
Family Promise exists because we don't want to see another family forced to make such a painful decision.
We provide shelter where families can stay together to be a source of comfort, support, and stability for one another.
Because families are stronger together.
But shelter is only one of the programs we offer for families at risk of or experiencing temporary homelessness. To learn more about our programs, visit FamilyPromiseTriangle.org.
If you'd like to give the gift of hope to a family in need, visit FamilyPromiseTriangle.org/donate.
And that was just straight to the point, right? That was straight to the point. We wanted you to kind of get the idea of what it is. And the person who put that together is here with us today. So I'm going to bring him up. He is the director of communications, and he does an amazing job at getting the message across. Jeff, are you with us?
I'm right here.
All right, cool. I want to thank you for joining us today. We appreciate having you here. How are you this evening?
I'm doing all right. How you doing, Crystal?
I'm doing amazing. So that video was short and to the point, very concise. Can you give us an idea a little bit more for someone who never heard of Family Promise of the Triangle, someone who doesn't have any idea what this is really all about? Tell us a little bit about what that video was saying.
Yeah, so Family Promise the Triangle. And by the way, when we say triangle, for those of you who are outside of North Carolina, the triangle is a geographic area. It's Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. And we serve specifically families who are experiencing homelessness in the triangle or who are at risk of experiencing homelessness in the triangle. And the reason why we focus specifically on families is because of what the video said. If a family is experiencing homelessness, they will need to separate into several shelters that cater to specific ages and genders, or they can opt to stay together and sleep in their car. And those are really the only two options. But at Family Promise, we offer shelter where families can stay together. Shelter is just one of our programs, though. We have a total of 6 programs across a spectrum for people so that whether people are at risk of experiencing homelessness or they're already experiencing homelessness, we have a place for them as a family where they can actually be together or get the services that they need.
Excellent. Now we have some other people here, another familiar face that we saw there on the camera, and we definitely want to bring him up, and we will have him come back because I don't see him at the moment, and we'll have him to definitely share his experience. But we know that to do this, you have a group of people that work closely with you guys, and that's the board members. So, and I do see a couple of board members here, so I'm going to bring them up. But first, Jeff, your background is very extensive. You're doing an amazing job of doing these videos and capturing all these things. Tell us a little bit about your background and why did you come to Family Promise?
So, Family Promise started as Wake Interfaith Hospitality Network, which I think we're going to talk about in a little bit when we get to some of our history. But basically, when we say Interfaith Hospitality Network, we mean that we had a network of faith communities where they had underutilized space during the week, and we had families who were experiencing homelessness and could use it as shelter. So people were converting Sunday school rooms into shelter space and hosting families for a week, and then they would move on to another faith community. My background is that for 12 years I was a pastor of one of those faith communities. I left ministry. During my time in ministry, I weirdly got a taste for fundraising and creating media. And so when I saw a combination of those two at Family Promise as the director of development and communications, it was a no-brainer for me. It was an organization I already loved and already trusted. And I've been there for 2 years now. And the closer I get to it, the more I learn about it and the more I dig into the past, the more I love and trust this organization and the work that we do.
Yes. And I see the man who probably hired you, who helps run the place, that does an amazing job. I want to bring him to the stage. I see Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott, how are you doing? And hello,
Hey,
thank you
Scott.
for joining us.
Well, thank you for having us on and spotlighting our program, the many volunteers we have, and the wonderful work we are doing. And yes, I'm responsible for bringing Jeff on, so you can blame me for all those videos. No, they are wonderful videos and a new way to connect with so many people. So we're very blessed to have him.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about your background, Scott. You are the executive director, and I can tell that you have the heart for this by working alongside of you on the board. I really see how much you put in extra effort in keeping everybody empowered in knowing what's happening and finding resources and doing anything and everything you can do to make sure that Family Promise of the Triangle succeeds. What is your background and what drew you to this organization?
Well, in my previous chapter, I was a public children's services director. I actually come from Ohio, where I was the director for child welfare, and during my time in 4 different counties, where people don't know, that's Child Protective Services. So it's working with children that are victims of abuse and neglect, working with foster parents, recruiting foster parents, adoptive parents, working with kids as they become young adults, and getting them situated. So we kind of do a lot of children's services activities. In one of the counties that I was a director in, they were starting an actual Family Promise affiliate. And we want to remember that, there's about 200 affiliates across the country. We're blessed to have 9 affiliates in North Carolina. And this county that started it, I didn't know what it was at the time, so they had to explain it to me, but they did ask me to serve on kind of a steering committee as the agency got up and running, including in training the first group of staff and volunteers. And as I learned more about this program, that when a family is going through really one of the toughest time of their lives and they're in crisis and experiencing trauma, and here's a group that wraps their arms around them with staff and volunteers, it's truly amazing, and helping them keep together in this time, because traditionally in communities, if they don't have a family shelter, mom and younger children will go to the women's shelter. The dad and if there's older kids might go to the men's shelter, and it just separates the families, and sometimes it might just be a separate children so at a time of crisis, we're kind of kicking them when they're down because they're going through this, and when we're splitting them up and they can't even be together. And as Jeff pointed out in the video, a lot of families do choose to stay together in a car, which is unsafe. And this program wraps all their arms around them, keeps them together as one family unit, works with them to help solve their problems. They're a member at the table, and that really, really appealed to me. I moved on from my child welfare life and actually moved down here to North Carolina, and I was looking for a way to continue to, serve children, preferably in a different way than Child Protective Services, which I had done. And I just saw the opening for this, and I thought, wow, it kind of was. I was guided. It was meant to be. So I'm continuing to work with families, continuing to work with children, the best interests of children, with a dynamic staff, and I just love what I'm doing.
And it showed, it really does show. And I know to do this, you also have a dynamic board. And I think I see the chairman of the board. Oh my goodness, I think I see Jay. Let's call him in here. He's here. Jay, are you there?
I thought you were going to say Frank Sinatra, chairman of the board. I know you're a musician at heart. I thought for sure you were gonna confuse me with Frank Sinatra. It's great to see you, Crystal. Thanks for having us in.
Yes. Now, Jay, you just heard how Jeff and Scott got started. So let's hear what drew you to Family Promise of the Triangle, and how did you end up being a board chair? Did you have an association prior to that? And just tell us a little bit about how you got connected.
So what drew me to Family Promise is, I think, the same thing that drew Scott, which is I learned about this. I was blessed not to have experienced homelessness at this point in my life. And so as I learned about Family Promise, and I learned that what often happens is your family gets split up. And I got to tell you, I really do love my children an intense amount. And I thought, oh, dear God. So in what would be one of the biggest crises in my life and in my kids' lives, you think you're going to separate us? By God, you are not. And I discovered that here's an organization that prevents that from happening. And I just thought I need to be a part of this however I can. So I contacted Scott's predecessor and said, hey, my name's Jay. I would love to support this however I can. How can I help? And at the time we used to host group conversations on Monday nights that were about something. So I got to spend a couple of Monday evenings with some of the families that were at the time in the transitional housing program. and we talked about, I'll never forget it. We talked about credit scores, and we talked about the dynamics in your family if somebody likes to spend and somebody likes to save. Not that one of those is good and the other one is not, but like an important family dynamic I've found to be able to identify that. So I got to do that with a couple of different groups, and it was a deeply rewarding experience. I think one of the groups I did it with had fun with me. The other group was sort of less excited about it, but 1 for 2. So I figured batting 500 wasn't bad. And from that, I asked Scott's predecessor, I said, this is great. How else can I help? And she said, you seem to be comfortable talking about money. How about you join the PR and fundraising committee? And I said, you got it. Be happy to. So I spent some time serving on that committee and eventually got invited to join the board.
Excellent, excellent. Now I know the board consists of many people with different backgrounds, and I think I do see another board member. My goodness, and we're going to even this up a little bit. So I'm going to bring Gloria to the stage. Gloria, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate having you here, and let us know
and Crystal,
who you are and what your background is, Gloria, and how did you find out about Family Promise?
So real quick, Crystal, I want to make sure everybody knows you're on our board. So let's not bury the lead here. We are blessed to have you serve on our board as well, along with Gloria and me and some other wonderful people. So I want everybody in the Shop Crystal world to know Crystal is in with Family Promise. We are stamped by Crystal as approved.
Indeed, indeed. And thank you for all of us, Crystal. Good to be here. So I was recruited by a current board member to join the board, or to see if I'd be interested in joining the board based on her knowledge of my desire to serve and give back to the community. I have been a dual career person, IT on one side, but have always been a licensed realtor. So in the Triangle. So I am quite aware of, when I first got my license, I think you could buy a 2,000 square foot house for $70,000 back in, I won't say the year, I'll be telling my age, but at any rate, so that alone just puts it in my face. And the Triangle is such a vibrant and area in terms of industry and so forth that we win all of these awards. So the market is just can always price people out for whatever reason. And then if you have a economic issue in your family, a medical issue or whatever, you could easily wind up on the street. So I want to be able to do my part as I say, in terms of hopefully helping alleviate that. So Family Promise was, once I talked to them and they accepted me, Family Promise was the place to be. The organization is wonderful. It's been around for 30 years. You can go to the wonderful website that Jeff spearheaded, but there's lots of great stuff out there with stats and so forth. For example, I saw a stat out there today when I was kind of prepping for this that, just this year, 40 families thus far. Just think it's only like April 16, 40 families thus far, 59 families, I think, and 95 individuals told. That is a lot of people that have been serviced. So, and the staff does it with vigor and passion and excellence and so forth. So I would just encourage those folks that are just finding out about us or have been finding out and supporting us to continue to do so, particularly in these times of all the stuff that's going on with the government in terms of possibly funds being alleviated and so forth. On the website, there's a section that clearly identifies the 4 different ways that you can get involved, whether it be donating time or money or reaching out to representatives or introducing us to potential sponsors if you know somebody that might want to sponsor it, and also just connecting us to any grant opportunities. So
excellent. And yes, Jay, for sure. I am on the board and I'm happy to be on the board. I was a person that went through a challenge in my life, and that's how I found out about Family Promise. I was actually a product of the Wake Interfaith when it was Wake Interfaith back then, about 10 years ago. And what I loved about it, and the reason why I came back, is because a lot of time people don't know what homelessness looks like, and homelessness is not always what it is. Sometimes it's just displacement, and people go through different things. So the program definitely works for a lot of people in a lot of scenarios. And I always like to encourage people, you can just be one paycheck away. You just never know. And it happens to the best. It happens to those that have the 401ks and they have the good job and they have the benefits and they have everything. It happens to the best people. So what I love about this organization is that they provide a way for people to keep their integrity and just kind of reset and start all over again and get their funds together and get their life in order. So, Scott, I want to ask you a question because Gloria mentioned the statistics, and I know you definitely know the numbers. She said already this year that many families have been affected and served. How bad is the homelessness in Wake County?
Well, it's kind of hard to say because homelessness is an issue across the country, and I think we're actually seeing it in larger communities. You're actually seeing a higher rate of homelessness in growing communities that are not keeping up with the growth by providing enough housing, and we need housing of all types, higher end, lower end, affordable housing. It is tough. There's not enough because of the growth. There's not enough services available to families, and all the services unfortunately have waiting lists. So it's going to take some time. So if you're struggling, reach out early to the system that's available to you. We served almost 130 families in total last year, as well as the year before. We are serving more families per year than we have been in our 30-year history. We're pleased to be doing it in not just reactive ways by providing shelter, but proactive as well, working with the social workers in the Wake County schools to help prevent homelessness from happening in the first place. And that's one of our really goals. If we can be more proactive and not reactive, we will help families avoid, and especially children. I mean, we took a step back and said, let's look at our services through the eyes of a child. And if we can prevent the trauma that comes with an eviction in the first place, we are, helping that child and that family, become a strong family. And we always say strong communities, are built by strong families. So that's our goal.
Wow. Now, Jeff, I got a question for you. The work that you do as working in the community and doing everything with communications, how are people responding to that? Are people really understanding, and are they responding? Because I know the goal is to get more donors and to get more sponsors and to get more volunteers. How are they responding to your great work that you're doing out there?
Well, thank you. Love your ringtone, whoever that was. I would say I would say a couple of things, and one is to your point that you were making earlier on, where we kind of have a certain picture of homelessness, right? And in fact, if you're watching this right now, open up another browser. Don't click out, but open a fresh browser and just Google, Bing, Yahoo, whatever web browser you use. Do an image search for homeless, homelessness, or homeless person. So do that search, click on images, and just see what you find. And as somebody who works in communications and uses a lot of stock imagery, I'll tell you exactly what you'll probably find and what you're probably looking at right now, which is pictures of people in medians holding up signs. You're probably seeing some tent cities. You're probably seeing some people sleeping on sidewalks, pushing shopping carts, sleeping on benches, all of that kind of thing. One of the things that I struggle with in a lot of ways as a communications and development director of a homelessness agency is that is the common image of homelessness. And frankly, it's an image of homelessness that I pass by in just a half-hour commute, depending on what route I take, maybe 3, 4 times a day. Somebody standing in a median holding up a sign. That might be the common image, but that doesn't mean that it's an accurate image, and it doesn't mean that it's a full image of what homelessness looks like. About a third of the homeless population, both across the country and locally, it's reflected here, a third is families who are experiencing homelessness. This isn't just lone individuals. So, how are people responding when, I put out a video, give a presentation, do whatever I do? I I think that honestly, people are just surprised. One of the things that you always say is, or that I've heard you say a couple of times, Crystal, is that if you want to know what a homeless person wears, sometimes it's a three-piece suit. That's just how it is now, especially in locations where there's an affordable housing crisis. And so I think that how are people responding? It's a little bit of surprise just because of how homelessness is often portrayed.
Wow. Now, Jay, as you lead the board, and you've been doing an amazing job, very creative, and always coming up with different ways for resources and just incentives and all kind of things. Any suggestion on what people need to do to kind of, I don't know, to kind of understand the importance of what the mission is here? And any suggestion on what we can do as a group to make people understand the mission so that we can get more people? Because right now, I think we do well with the giving, and I know we have a giving day coming up. I'm going to show that as you speak. But any suggestions on what we can do, and talk about how the goals have been met and what the goals are, so people understand what Family Promise is trying to accomplish?
Absolutely. So I think if you're trying to wrap your brain around our mission and what this is, I would start where Jeff just suggested you start, which is try to wrap your brain around a family with parents who have jobs and who are working and have children of any age, hitting a run of bad luck, hitting unexpected car repairs, health care bills, anything like that. And all of a sudden they have to find a new place to sleep. And if you start with that and you realize how easily that can happen to anybody and how important it would be to you to keep your family together in that scenario, you will very, very quickly understand our mission. Right? If you can put yourself in those shoes, then you'll get it right away. And then hopefully you'll have the same reaction that a lot of people have, which is, oh my goodness, how can I help? And I think you can help lots and lots of ways. One way is you can call us and say, I would love to volunteer my time. We have lots of ways you can help. We've got facilities that are often could benefit from a little touch up. So you can come and do some actual physical work there. We have families that are happy to benefit from meals and entertainment and events. So we would be delighted to have folks help us that way. But ultimately, a huge percentage of the work that we do is preventing people from becoming homeless in the first place. And the truth is, the best way you can help that is to help us with financial resources. We have caseworkers who are absolutely amazing at what they do. And there are more families to help than we can possibly help. So any financial gift can go right into the hands of our caseworkers, and they can intervene with a family who is at danger of losing their home, and keep them housed, right? We negotiate with landlords. We can cover rent when expenses get to be unexpected and overwhelming. There's a ton we can do. And that is really the best work that we can all do together. Our shelter program is amazing. The video that we showed about which would you choose is a heart-wrenching choice. And the best thing we can do is stop people from having to make that choice. So with some funds, we can intervene with landlords. We can keep people in their house. And those children don't go through the experience. Their trauma is drastically less. And all of the long-term ripple effects that we see on average from children that go through this experience are alleviated.
Wow. Gloria, tell us about what you've seen since you've been working with this organization and what you think people need to know so that they can have a heart and give more and participate on April 22nd on our Giving Day, where we're trying to make a big impact.
What I have seen is an organization that not only has been supporting many families based on the stats, but an organization that is growing, because we're very excited to start to partner or begin working with Durham to offer offer our services to families that are experiencing homelessness due to domestic violence. You know, one of our mission. We say that every child deserves a home, but every child also deserves, obviously, a safe home and so forth. So that's one of the most exciting things that's going to be coming aboard in the summer of this year. Correct, guys?
And Gloria, you brought up a really exciting development. Well, you really brought up two there at the same time. One is the work that we're doing in Durham. The other is one of the programs that we haven't really talked about yet. So we've talked about our shelter program. We've talked about what we call our prevention program that will keep you housed. But every so often, if we can't get to the prevention programs in time, the next best thing we can do, we like to call rapid rehousing. So instead of moving a family into a shelter, if we can, we will just move them straight into a new permanent residence. So it's a third way to fight this and keep children and families housed and together. And we are thrilled to be able to do that in Durham, thrilled to be able to work with the Durham COC, and thrilled to be able to, in particular, support families that have fled a domestic violence situation.
And Crystal, I actually left out a baby step, not baby step really, of in terms of growth. Before that wonderful growth, we expanded from being Family Promise of Wake County to Family Promise of the Triangle just in the last year and a half or so.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that we can serve even more people, obviously, by the name. So
Wow. And Scott, what would you like to add to that?
Well, I mean, when we took a look at our data and where we're helping families find, permanent housing, and if they were willing to move because they're finding it just too tough to be in this real estate market, we find we were finding housing for families all around us, all into contiguous counties and as far away as Halifax. So, I mean, rapid rehousing is the government name of the program. We like to call it shelter diversion, because it is somebody who is out of their house, but we don't want them to come into a shelter if they don't need to. So we find them new housing with supports in place so that they'll be successful. And then it doesn't take up a space from somebody else who really needs to be in shelter. So that has been very successful.
Program is amazing because people don't want to go into a shelter. When I came through the program and the situation that I was dealing with, I could never see myself in a shelter. I'm not a shelter person. So the way that you guys are set up is really good because it helps people to maintain their dignity and keep themselves, their lifestyle to a certain degree as they go through the program and they get the help they need. So that's what I love about the program. And I just want to tell anybody who's watching, pride comes before the fall. So don't be prideful about it. Like, seriously, Family Promise can help you get it together because you can save money. People have left, and Scott, maybe you could talk about this, or Jeff. I know people have left there with $10,000 in their bank account. You know what I'm saying? I know when I was there, I got a brand new car, and the place that I am staying at now, and I pay almost $1,600 a month, was the place that I was placed in 10 years ago through the program, and I'm still here. And this is a place where, I love it here. You know what I mean? And like I said, and most people come there like, wow, because this is nice. I have a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. I mean, gorgeous place. And like I said, because I had a standard of living that I wanted to keep because I was a homeowner. So don't think because you go through Family Promise that you have to lose yourself or regress or go backwards, because you don't. What you can do is reset and utilize the resources that they have to help you to get back on your feet, get out of the situation you might be in that might not be safe, whether it's domestic violence, whatever it is. If you're on somebody's couch and you don't need to be there, and you just go get the help. They are there. The programs they have are amazing. And I'm telling you, when I went to the program, people didn't know I was in the program. They didn't know. I mean, when we see people and we pull up next to people in the car, you just never know where they're going to or where they're coming from. Like Jeff said, they could be in a 3-piece suit, whatever. You just don't know. So be real careful, But Family Promise of the Triangle can help you. And now in Durham, they can help you. So it's amazing. Anything you want to add to that, Jeff?
I'll add. I mean, real quick, our shelter is basically apartment units, because we want, for the child, we don't want them going to a cinder block, room with bunks, or sleeping in a hotel or their car. We want it to be, as we talk about normalcy, we want it to be as normal as possible for the child. So they won't even know. They're just, they're in an apartment. They have wonderful people, because we have so many, like 35 partner churches where the congregations come and they provide dinners and engagement opportunities, tutoring experiences with the families, picnics, so that we're trying to manage and reduce the trauma to the child. And while in the program, and one of the goals is we want you to save money so that when you do exit the program, you're going to be successful in your new place. You're going to need purchasing power or renting power, so to speak, for down payments and first month, last month's rent. So we want you to save your money. That's why we're providing you with groceries, providing you with the food. You're not paying a utility bill while you're with us. So that kind of thing. And that's the community of supporters we have through our volunteers that are helping you, become successful. And so that, and when you're rehoused, you're not coming back into the system. We don't want, we want you to be successful.
And
So what were you going to add to that, Jeff? Or Jay, you were going to say something?
Well, I'm always about to say something. You know me that well. Come on. But there's something I don't think we've talked about quite enough. But as it struck me as Scott was describing all the resources that we bring. I think it's important for anybody who is joining us tonight to understand it's not just, we're not just giving away money. The really impactful part of what Family Promise does that's different from anybody else is our case managers and the level of engagement and support that they surround our families with while they're in the program, as they exit the program, and then continuing beyond. This is not a turns out I'm several $100s short this month, can I just have a check, right? This is a commitment to this family and ongoing engagement with this family through our amazing case managers.
That was good. That was good that you said that. It is a commitment, and definitely a whole program. So now talk to the people about the needs that there are. I know there are different needs, and talk to the people about, are we full with the board? You don't need any more board members at the moment, or what is it that we do need right now? I know there's a wish list, and I know you have a lot of things, Jeff, that you talk about. So let the people know what are some of the things on the wish list and what it is that Family Promise could use to help them to be successful right now.
Yeah, so we do have an Amazon wish list. It's on our website, which is www.familypromisetriangle.org. The Amazon wish list is helpful. it's got the items that we tend to need on a regular basis. But that kind of changes a lot because families look like a lot of different things. When I first started at Family Promise 2 years ago, we were overrun with teenagers. We had teenagers coming out of our ears. At this point, we have quite a few littles. We don't have quite as many teenagers. So the needs are different. Right now, well, no, let me back up. So the best place to find that information is to follow us on Facebook. Our Facebook profile is Family Promise of the Triangle, but every Wednesday you will find a Wish List Wednesday post. Somebody on staff will be holding up a sign with all of our most immediate needs, whether we have more bigs, more littles, that'll kind of give you some direction as far as supplies go. But one thing I'll say as far as our needs right now, coming up on April 22nd is our Family Promise Giving Day. And I want to put in a big plug for that because, as we've said, there are other family promises across the country, almost 200 actually, including in Alaska and Hawaii. So all of those family promises on the same day are going to be having a fundraiser as well. So it's kind of cool to think, if I'm giving a gift on April 22nd, what I'm really doing is sort of joining this big national movement to end family homelessness in all of our communities. So one of the biggest needs right now is donations. Specifically, we are continuing our expansion into Durham. We've talked a little bit about domestic violence, but this is a new program that we're going to be starting come October. And we need to raise about $75,000 of grant match money to help support this program. But this is going to be specifically for families who are fleeing domestic violence. So remember that messaging from earlier where we said, which would you choose, car and together or split up but in shelter? There's this really horrendous third option that somewhere between 75 and 90% of women experiencing homelessness have to choose. This third option is stay with an abusive partner just because they put a roof over my head and my kids' heads. We are going to help families who are in that desperate of a situation in Durham. And over the next 2 years, we anticipate that we're going to help 321 kids in Durham County who are in that situation not be in that situation anymore, and give their, usually moms, give their mothers an opportunity to find a safe place for their kids to be. So we need support for that program. That's one of our big needs right now.
We absolutely do. And a really significant portion of our overall annual funding comes from some government sources. And as we all know, there are great changes happening in the government, and those funding streams are a little less predictable than they used to be. So if ever there were a time to help us stabilize and mitigate that risk, this is for sure that time.
Definitely.
Jeff, wow. Can you talk for just a little bit about, or Scott, about the other organizations that we're partnered with in this great effort to help victims that have fled domestic violence find rehousing? Because I want to make sure we don't accidentally say that we are experts in supporting victims of domestic violence. We really focus on the housing, and we've partnered with some other groups.
Yeah, Scott's been heading up those partnerships, so I'll let him.
And remember, this program will start in the fall, but we will be part of a network, a safety net around these families. We'll be partnering with the Durham Crisis Response Center. They will be the main referral source because they will be working with the people. We'll be helping them get rehoused while they will be working with making the connections for them, the counseling and other services. We've also joined the Continuum of Care in Durham, as we have been members a long time in Wake County, to access those community partnerships to provide the services to the families after they're housed, which will be the next step.
Wow, I know that there are a lot. I know we have a lot of partners. You mentioned partners, Jay. When I know we have Belton, Cortland, and Clayton houses in diaper train, community comparison chains, and the Green Chair Project, and Note in the Pocket, Wheels for Hope. We have RAR Realtor Giving Network, North Carolina Housing Coalition, National Alliance to End Homelessness, the North Carolina Center for the Nonprofit. So we work with a lot of people. So it's definitely a collaboration. Gloria, as a woman, how exciting does it make you feel to know what they can do for these women that can get out of these domestic violence situations? I know, because we as women, we might feel a little bit differently. How did that speak to your heart?
Oh, that's just wonderful. I mean, I fortunately have never been put in a situation like that, but I just can't imagine being like not able to be in your house without the fear of being abused, period. So to offer a service that will facilitate ladies getting out of that situation with their kids is just phenomenal.
Now, Scott, can you talk about the process for a minute? What is the process? Is there a waiting list? When people come, how easy is it right now to get placement, or are you guys backed up?
Well, there is a waiting list in Wake County. The process that is in place is a HUD requirement. If somebody's needing any services to prevent homelessness, they have to contact the Wake County Access Hub, which is located at Oak City's Cares. There, they'll do the initial intake, and then the person or family, because remember, this is for everybody, will get referred to an appropriate service provider when that service provider has an opening.
Okay.
And then when they're on the waiting, I mean, it's a weighted waiting list. But I mean, somebody's if they've been homeless before, if there's other factors in place, if they're working or not working, number of children, age of children, all those factors, will they get placed on the waiting list? So it could be a shorter wait, it could be a longer wait. But we are currently full at our facility. When we do have an opening, we request the next family from the Access Hub. But we are doing some repairs and some renovations in our building. So as soon as those are done, we'll be, taking in some more families.
Excellent. And I'll let any one of you that would like to talk about the founder. How did Family Promise start? I know we have the national organization, we have the local one. Whoever wants to address that and really speak to how Family Promise started and how we got here with all these different locations, because there's a Family Promise near many of you. If you're watching, it's not just in Wake County, it's in many, many places. So who would like to address that one?
On a national level, Family Promise started by a wonderful woman called Karen Olson about 40 years ago in New Jersey, when it was the Interfaith Hospitality Network, as you mentioned earlier. Just when she started having a conversation with the homeless women on the street, that's how it all started. And Miss Olson just wrote a book about all the experiences, how it got started. That's available now. We got our start almost 31 years ago. I think there was 4 or 5 original churches that came together and they had heard the presentation from Miss Olson and said we could do this here in Raleigh and Wake County to help homeless families. I don't remember all the name of the original churches. Several of them are with us today. It started with 4 or 5. It's grown as big as 50 when we were serving the most people in the rotational model. In the mid-90s, the board made a decision to move where we are now on Method Road, ideally because of close to the city on a main bus line. near potential employers there in Western, near the Method Road community, which is one of the remaining Freeman villages in the city. So it was an ideal place to be to serve the families of our community.
And you've got a big event coming up, Jeff. Talk about the event we have coming up. I know we have a tendency of showing appreciation for those that have been there through the process over the year. What's the big event we have coming up? Do we have a need for that event? Are we looking for any sponsors or anything for that upcoming event?
Why, yes, we are. On September 18th, we are going to have a fundraising event at Tobacco Road. Tobacco Road, that's the Raleigh location, not the Durham location. But yeah, it's going to be silent auction, food, drinks, some of the usual fare. But really, the big theme of the event is just going to be that every child deserves a home. And so that'll be a big fundraising event that we're really, really excited about. We haven't had a fundraising event like this in I think since before the pandemic. Or what's that?
Pre-pandemic.
Yeah, pre-pandemic. So we're really happy to get everybody together. Tickets are going to be forthcoming, so just follow us on our social media channels. We are especially active on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We do a little bit on TikTok, and we have a lot of YouTube videos. So if you've been hearing all of these different programs and thinking to yourself, what on earth is transitional housing? They said something about shelter, something about rapid rehousing I didn't catch. You can read more about these on our website, but there are links to YouTube videos on our website with interviews with all of the case managers who run these programs. So Jay keeps on highlighting our case managers. I think these people are absolute magic. I don't know how they do what they do on a day-to-day basis, but you can learn more about their programs there and be on the lookout for tickets for our upcoming event.
Wow. And we'll put the website out there. We have the information out there if you want to donate. And you can also follow on Facebook, or you can go to the website that you see posted there for Family Promise at the triangle.org.
Yeah. You know, and as I was talking, I was thinking about all of those different programs that we've been batting around and more information about them. One of the questions that I get asked a lot is, why do you have so many programs? Because there's the shelter, there's the rapid rehousing, why don't you just dig deep and focus on one or two? I think that one of the things that really sets us apart is that we have this great executive director who has a hard time saying no to a new program, and but I think that there's not to butter your biscuit or anything, Scott, but you know, I think that there's a certain brilliance behind that, because there are a lot of people out there who will say that they have found the solution to homelessness. And maybe that works well in their city, and I think that's great. But I think that, as you know, I've seen the families come and go from our programs. I don't think there is one solution to homelessness. I think that there are solutions. And so why do we have so many programs? It's because we're not interested in putting square pegs into round holes. And transitional housing might work great for a family, and that might be a horrible idea for another family who needs rapid rehousing. I think the brilliance of our programming is the breadth of the programming. So I do want to say that, and again, learn more about those programs.
Well,
I just want to put a plug in for executive directors. I mean, it's our job to put, you know, as many tools in our case manager's toolbox as possible. So, and that's what we're doing. And we have the support of the board as we've gone forward with implementing new programs. And I am confident that if we're doing a program and it doesn't work, we can end it and we can try another program. There might be something new that comes down the road that we haven't heard about. So we're it's that thirst for knowledge. I think it's because of our case managers have a real high educational level. They want to know what's out there. They want to know what's new. They're in the research, they're in the peer review, of which I think is phenomenal for an agency of our size. And it wouldn't be possible without the board supporting them and valuing them. And I just feel blessed to be here.
And we're blessed to have you, definitely. So here's what I like to do for someone who may come back and do this replay, right? I'm going to give each one of you an opportunity to say any message that you'd like to say to a listener, whether it is a message about donating, sponsoring, about the mission, whatever it is that you would like to say that's on your heart about Family Promise of the Triangle. You can speak to the need that we may have, whatever comes to your mind. I'm going to give you that, kind of like to be able to do like a closing statement and an appeal at the same time. So I'll allow each one of you to do that. We wanted to bring awareness today, guys, and we feel as though if you have not heard of Family Promise of the Triangle, now you know who they are, and now you will take a moment to go and follow and look at the website that I put on the screen. Follow them on Facebook or go to the website, and don't forget to support, to be able to go to the website at familypromisetriangle.org to donate because of the events that we have coming up. So we want you to make sure that you take a moment to go to this and make sure that you do take a moment to donate, because this is the big day coming up, the Giving Day on April 22nd, and we want to make sure that you understand that we want to make an impact. All right, but I'm going to give each one of you the opportunity to come and say something. And Jeff, I know that you may have to exit out first, so I'm going to start with you. All righty.
Usually mine has to do with please give, and Giving Day is coming up, but you already hit that one. I would say I think I would say, you know what? Give, obviously, but I would say be gentle out there with people. You would be surprised, I think, at who's experiencing homelessness. If you get lunch at a fast food restaurant, I am willing to bet that one of the people in their kitchen at any given moment spent the night in their car. I think that there are a lot of people out there who work in hospitals, the tech who drew your blood, maybe the person driving your bus. There are folks out there who you would be very surprised. So be tender and compassionate out there. People are having a hard go, and whatever you can do to support them, do it.
Yes, Miss Gloria.
I'm gonna piggyback off of that, because years ago when I was involved with actually Dress for Success, when I went through the orientation to be a volunteer, one of the first things they said that I so remember this statement all the time is, okay, you're getting involved with this organization, and when that person, and not making fun, when that woman walks in with those pink fluffy house shoes on or whatever, you don't know what she has been through to get here. Because just like Jeff said, just be gentle with folks, because you don't know. You do not know what's going on in people's lives. And I was gonna say the donate and give too, but I already did that earlier when I gave the reference to our site. Go to our site and look at options for supporting us in this critical time also.
Excellent. All right, I'm going to let us finish with Jay, and I'm going to go to Scott, and Jay, I'm going to close out with you. So Scott.
Yeah. I think some real quick things. No donation is too small. If you're able to donate to a cause to help out somebody in your community, it's wonderful. We are appreciative. To people that actually volunteer with us or with anybody, if you volunteer to help out your community, thank you for giving. The gift of your time is so precious. We're greatly appreciative. If you're going through a situation, don't be afraid to ask for help. There's something wrong with asking for help. And I'll leave with my one saying that sometimes used is that to the world, you might be one person, but to one person, you might be their world. Please consider giving.
Wow, that's really, really good. And Mr. J.
So I have one short thing, which will sound a little repetitive, but it is that I hope if you have listened to any of this, you will either contact us to help more families, or you'll contact us so that our team and our support staff can support your family. But I hope you'll get in touch with us for one of those two reasons. Jeff, I think you said be kind out there. I think that bears repeating. I was recently at a software users conference, and there was a guy, this is in New York. There was a guy up on the stage, and he said, just remember, everybody, kindness is not a weakness. Now, we were in New York, so he then had to say, I'm actually from Brooklyn, so I'll be clear, being a sucker is a weakness. But kindness, right, it was great. But kindness is not a weakness. Kindness is actually strength. So I will echo your message of being kind.
Wow. Well, I certainly do appreciate you, and I want to say thank you to all of you for being here and for coming through and allowing us to share and bring awareness to what's happening with Family Promise of the Triangle and Durham, the way it's branching out, and the National Family Promise also. And just remember, go to the website and help us out. And we'll be sharing more information. Don't forget to go check the YouTube channel out and check out the work that Jeff is doing on Facebook and all the different social media sites I mentioned to you, TikTok. Everything is Family Promise of the Triangle, okay? We want to thank you for coming. You've been watching Storytime with Shout Crystal. Just remember, I am Crystal Bodie Smith. I'm your Hope Catalyst. My mission is to stir up the gift, instill hope, and save lives. So if you have a story, your story matters. And it doesn't matter whether it's a story of hope or hopelessness. We want to hear it so we can share it for others. So check us out. We'll be back on Sunday with the next story time. Until then, I want to say thank you guys for being here today. Thank you for allowing me to serve along with you on the board. And let's continue to impact the lives in Wake County and around the world. And with that, I'll say good night, everybody. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. And don't forget to go give. Thank you for watching Storytime with
Thanks,
Chuck.
Crystal.
Thank you.
All right, good night,
Thanks a bunch,
everybody.
Crystal.
Hang tight till the end of the outro. See you later, everybody.
A catalyst for change with the chance to thrive. Crystal is the one to stir up gifts and save lives. You get exposure, promotion, and marketing too. And advertise for business owners just like you. On Storytime, your interview is global. Virtual or in person, just come on the show. Yo, your story matters. Crystals will open the door. 40 years of experience, ready to give you more on Storytime. Get ready for Storytime. Hey, come on.